Well, my name's Kevin Pazour. I'm the executive director of the Porter County Museum, and we just finished a tour of the Old City Cemetery. And I want to talk a little bit about one of the graves, Joe Marks. And I think for every sense of the word, he was one of the most eccentric people in Porter County. In fact, it's printed. If you look at the history of Porter County 1912, they start out his section by saying he was the most eccentric person in Valparaiso, not all of the county. And Joe brought the first foundry to Porter County. His home and work was at the corner of Chicago Street and Franklin Street, which is now the location of the Pioneer Apartments, the first apartments that were built here and are still used as apartments today. But he was just a crazy guy. There are stories that he would gather all the neighborhood children together to essentially go and collect things from the neighborhood so that he could use it in his foundry, and then he would either pay the children, or at Christmas time he would make hard candy. And there are stories, even in our files, that say that the parents really weren't thrilled with that at the time. That you basically have this older man making hard candy with his bare hands in a very dirty surrounding. You can only imagine the red flags today. But another story that I was just totally amused by was, for whatever reason, Uncle Joe Marks, as he was known and called by many here, decided to harbor just over 100 pigeons in his house. It ended up becoming such a problem that the surrounding neighborhood started a petition to basically get him either kicked out or the pigeons kicked out. And one of his good friends was Elias Axe. And at that point, and I don't know the backstory on this, Elias signed the petition, and from that day on until the day Uncle Joe died, he never spoke to Elias again. I made a comparison earlier to another stone of a man who in later life found God because a tree nearly hit him on the head, and it didn't hit him, and he said that the only reason he could think of was it was just an act of God. His name was Sprague Keen. He's just actually over that way. Joe Marks didn't believe in anything, but he attended church every weekend, and he was outspoken. He was kind of a nut, and there is a great written story in this History of 1912 book that says he would openly challenge the Reverend Beer mid-sermon and say he didn't believe it. He didn't believe that there was a such thing as hell. And I think most notably he mentioned, again, mid-service, that would you put your child on an open stove? What would people think of you? And, the Reverend went back and forth, and I think in most times probably looked away when he saw Uncle Joe come in. So many other great stories, but it's great to be here and great to share a story of a guy that was truly one of the most eccentric people of our community.